So during the sixth day of philosophy class, the second day of epistemology, I asked you all a fundamental question of philosophy, and I would argue a fundamental question of life, and that question being, what is wisdom? And a quote from Will Durant that I think is well suited for what we talked about today is Durant said, "Science gives us knowledge, but only philosophy can give us wisdom." And when I started class, when I asked you to define it in a small group, that word knowledge came up again and again and again. But here's the question. Can you be wise in the absence of knowledge? And can you have a lot of knowledge and still be unwise? You know, according to Durant, only philosophy can give us wisdom. And a reminder, the word philosophy literally means either love or friend of. Soph is wisdom, and e, study. Now, the Greeks had 7 forms of love, and we're going to get into that later in class. So it's interpreted either as I have a love of wisdom or I'm a friend of wisdom. And that's the core of philosophy. And in terms of wisdom, there are big fundamental questions I want you to think about and be able to answer. And these questions are, number one, how does one define wisdom? Is wisdom an absolute term? Is it a relative term? Are there any criterion we all can agree on? That's a big question. What does it mean to love wisdom? And again, the Greeks had 7 types of love. What does it mean to have a love of wisdom? Why are some people wise and others not? You know, I look at my students and people are wise beyond their years. They make good decisions. They look at the circumstances around them. They learn from mistakes if they happen, and other people persistently fail to learn from their mistakes and continue to make unwise choices. What words are often synonymous with wisdom but not necessarily true? And oftentimes these words are experience or knowledge. So why do we have separate words? Is it the application of knowledge? Is it something else? So again, to key in on an actual definition of wisdom is more challenging than probably you thought starting class. And then what opportunities in life can create wisdom? So think about that. Life will throw you some circumstances. What circumstances are opportunities to gain wisdom? And we're certainly not going to answer all of those questions, but I hope you're thinking about them. And Will Durant, who was the philosopher this lesson was focused on, quoted in his essay, What is Wisdom? He quoted, "Wisdom is total perspective, seeing an object, event, or idea in all its pertinent relationships." So whether you agree with that or not, but being able to see the whole picture, a fancy word, the gestalt, all of it. That's what, according to Durant, he said that is wisdom. And to take a passage from that essay, Durant wrote, "Are there any special ways of acquiring a large perspective? Yes. First, by living perceptively. So the farmer faced with a fateful immensity day after day may become patient and wise. Secondly, by studying things in space through science. Partly in this way, Einstein became wise. Thirdly, by studying events in time through history. May my son study history," said Napoleon, "for it is the only true philosophy, the only true psychology. Thereby we learn both the nature and the possibilities of man. The past is not dead. It is the sum of the factors operating in the present. The present is the past rolled up into a moment for action. The past is the present unraveled in history for our understanding." And here's the source below. So in terms of gathering the big perspective, as Durant spoke about, you need to be alert. You need to be an astute observer. You need to be awake. In the East, in the Buddhist tradition, to be awake is of paramount importance. Science provides an explanation to how the world works. And there is wisdom in that. So in a sense, that is synonymous with knowledge. But then using that for a broader perspective and history of all the people who have come and gone, they've lived a life, and hopefully by studying them, you can glean, you can take away from these lives in the hopes it imparts wisdom to you. And as a history teacher, in addition to a philosophy teacher, my personal bias would say absolutely, absolutely. So we wrapped up class with a journal entry. Now that you've read Durant, now that we've talked in a big group, now that you've talked in a small group and you've thought about it, how would you personally define wisdom? And what steps can be taken to increase it during the course of a lifetime? And by a lifetime, I'm referring to your lifetime. Keep it in-house. And to end with a quote also from the Durant essay, "Be bold, young lovers of wisdom, and enter with open hands and minds the city of God." So be bold. Hope you learned some things, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you came up with. So thank you for watching.